What is going on, guys? Donovan here. If you guys are new to the channel, this is my 2016 Charger RT sitting next to, it's covered up, but my 2018 Hellcat. This RT has a bunch of work done to it, everything from cam to long tubes to differential. Like, I honestly can't even remember everything that's done to the car, but recently I put a 32 to 3400 stall Circle D converter in the car. And so in this video, I wanted to give you guys my first impressions of how the car drives, how it drives around town, and how it affects, you know, the daily driving and around town behavior of the car. So believe it or not, the car is actually currently untuned for the torque converter. So this is a 2016 with the 8 HP 70. My tuner is ZH Tunes, and when I installed the converter, I reached out to him and said, hey, you know, I want the revision. But he said it was okay to drive. He's not gonna make any tweaks to it until I get it to a track, and he needs some logs where I basically hook without spinning. And to be completely honest with you guys, before the converter, I was able to hook without spinning on the street with my drag radials on, which you might not be able to see right now, but they're on the car. And prior to the converter, I was able to hook perfectly on the street because I just lost so much low end with the cam. But now, even though the car is untuned for the converter, like, it still breaks the drag radials loose on the street. The day after you guys see this video, I'm taking it out to Irwindale, and I'm gonna try to get those logs for him so that we can really get the converter dialed in and actually tuned for it. But right now, the transmission has my regular cam trans tune on it. No adjustments for the converter just yet. In this video, I'm gonna let you guys know how it drives around town. So one of the reasons I was worried about doing a higher stall converter is because a lot of people complain about how they feel driving around town. They like saying they feel really loose, and they feel that it's almost like you're putting your foot into jello, if that makes sense. Like you hear the car making noise, but you're not really moving. And I have to say, with the Circle D converter in particular, since this is the only high stall converter I've ever driven, there are very few scenarios where the converter actually feels loose. For example, if I'm driving around town, like I'm taking off from a stop right now, I'm gonna take off. The shifts are still very distinct, even under the stall speed of the converter. Like, the car doesn't feel loose. In fact, that feels comparable, in some cases even better than the stock converter felt, and I can still feel the shifts. I've heard that with some converters, you won't feel the shifts. They'll feel like you'll only know it's shifted by looking at the tach, and the car feels very manageable. Like, it doesn't feel loose when I come to a stop. The only time that I notice that the converter feels looser is if I come down to a stop and the light turns green before I come to a complete stop and I get on the gas again at a low speed. Then you'll notice that the RPMs kind of jump up a little bit higher than they did before, because the converter's not locked up. But like, from a stop, that feels completely normal. Now, another time it feels kind of loose is when I am backing into a driveway or something. If I don't give it a little bit of gas, it won't like idle back up the driveway always. Sometimes it will, depending on how steep the driveway is. I do notice that compared to the stock converter, I have to give it a bit more gas to get it up and moving if I, you know, am reversing into the driveway or I'm going up an incline out of a parking garage or something like that. Even then, like if I let off the gas at this light right now, we're idling forward. Or if I let off the brake, the car still moves on its own, even with this looser converter. So what I'd also like to do is show you guys how it looks giving it like a little more than partial throttle when I'm at a cruise like this. So if I go ahead and lean into it a little bit, like you'll see that the car still kind of downshifted and took off. So that feels stock. Like that feels perfectly fine. There's no jolting, it doesn't feel like the transmission's confused at all. It feels very tight, very responsive. And overall, I'm pretty impressed. People were scaring me online when I was looking at reviews of these aftermarket converters and how they affect your daily driving. To be completely honest, I don't see any reason why I couldn't daily drive this car with this converter. I mentioned earlier in the video that this car also has an aftermarket cam. So I have an Comp Cam's HRT Stage 2 camshaft in this 5.7 Hemi. Those who are veterans of my YouTube channel know that when I first installed the cam, I was having crazy surging and shut-off issues when I came to a stop on the car. Like the RPMs would jump up like crazy and the car would like surge forward like it was bucking. One of the ways to remedy that is an aftermarket converter. There are two reasons why I didn't do the converter when I did the cam. Number one, I was told that it wasn't necessary for the cam. Necessary and recommended are two different things. So, was it recommended? Yes. Is it necessary? No. However, it was a pain in the butt to tune the thing. Now, you'll notice that the surging is much more tame, so I'll come to a stop there. So the car bounced a little bit, but like I'm not standing on the brakes for dear life. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of gas here. Like with the converter at the same RPM as the stock converter, like the car just feels like lighter on its feet than it did with the stock converter in. Pretty sure that's like a torque multiplication thing. I don't have, you know, a very technical explanation of that behavior for you guys. All around, I mean, so far I don't regret doing the converter at all. It's not terribly loose feeling. The benefits at the track, I'm sure, are going to be great. I'm hoping I can cut off at least 3/10 off my 60 foot, which in the 1/8 mile and 1/4 mile translates to even more time off of your ET. If you guys are worried about daily driving on this converter, I wouldn't be too worried as long as you don't go over the top with your stall speeds. And in a separate video, I'll report to you guys on, you know, track times once we get it all dialed in. I'll probably film tomorrow as well, just to get initial track impressions. The car won't be dialed in though, so I won't be setting any records, but hopefully we'll see some improvements on the 60 foot. Now with that being said, I hope you guys found this video somewhat informative. I know it was a little bit informal with regards to the technical explanations. I didn't do a ton of that in this video, but I mostly wanted to focus on how the car drives around town and my first impressions of it. If you guys found this video interesting, or you're interested in following the build and the progression of it, because like I said, even though I have the Hellcat, I'm not done with the RT, and hopefully this is proof of that. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.